Hello, everyone. Welcome to our online lecture. Our discussion for today will be concentrating on Confucianism. Okay, and perhaps this topic is not new to you guys because you've heard of Confucius for longest time already. Again, welcome to our online lecture. This is all about Confucianism. And so we will be looking at the history of Confucianism, the basic doctrines also of Confucianism, and the influence of Confucianism, okay, in Asia and also the world. Now, what is so important about our discussion of Confucianism is the influence that Confucianistic beliefs already has in the world today, as it has permeated the very everyday um, dealings of the people, particularly in Asia, in particular in the East Asian um, region. And so, without further ado, we'll now be considering the history first of Confucianism. Now, Confucianism was founded by Confucius. Confucius was a Chinese philosopher who lived around 500 BCE. But he was not just a Chinese philosopher, there was a time that he became a politician as well. Although Confucius never wrote any of his teachings. His followers in the next several generations were able to compile his words, his teachings, and the oldest of which was dated at around 500 BCE. Now, the teachings of Confucius actually focus on virtues rather than the worship of gods and deities. Thus, some people would say that Confucianism was not actually a religion, but rather a philosophy. Let's continue. Now, Confucianism became widespread in Asia in the 1200s after the Khans of the Mongol Empire adapted Confucianism principles to run their government. During this time, there was a decline in the popularity of Confucianism, particularly during the Cultural Revolution, because and the communist era in China back in the 1950s to 1990s, because all forms of religion were banned in communism. Now, communist principles and ideas were indoctrinated in the said generation of Chinese, replacing Confucian philosophy. Now, if you're going to ask what the Cultural Revolution is, this is the transition of China into communism. Now, that is what Cultural Revolution was all about. Now, Confucius is not the god in Confucianism. This is not a theistic religion. However, Confucianism aims for the human to be united with the Tian. Now, when we talk about the Tian, this is the heaven or the universe. So, being one with the heaven or the universe is the main goal of Confucianism. Now, this is done by contemplation and by following the virtuous system of Confucius. Aside from the Tian, Confucius believes in the Shen. Now, when we speak of the Shen, this is a collective term for gods, okay, small gods, or spirits that actually dwell in nature and ancestors of human. That's the reason why Confucius himself leaves food on bowls for the Shens. Performing rituals and sacrifices for the Shens is beneficial because these generates good life, at least according to Confucius. Now, Confucianism emphasizes filial piety. When we talk about filial piety, you talk about the utmost respect given to older people, particularly parents, taking care of their needs, especially during their old age, bringing good name to the parents, not being rebellious to the parents, meaning being an obedient kid is all about filial piety, respect, okay, and all that, and continuously offering sacrifices long after their death. Now, Confucius advocates for proper treatment of fellow humans, patience, humility, loyalty, and respect for parents and ancestors. So, when we speak of Confucianism, we also speak of the Golden Rule. In Confucianism, which states that do not do unto others what you do not want others do unto you. This is the opposite of the golden rule in Christianity, which says, do unto others what you would want others do unto you. Now, Confucius teaches a very humanistic philosophy where anybody in society can apply whatever he teaches. Now, another goal of is to develop oneself into a Junsi. Junsi, meaning a gentleman or a superior person or an ideal man. A Junsi does more and speaks less. He's obedient, loyal, knowledgeable, and can live in poverty. Now, Confucius is probably the most quoted Eastern philosopher. His teachings are widespread, not only in Asia, but also in the Western world. In fact, he is a fixture in philosophy classes all over the world. Outside communist China, Confucians built temples for ancestor worship, statues of Confucius, and hospitals for humanitarian deeds. Today, Confucianism has a strong influence on the cultures of China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, Korea, Japan, and Vietnam. Although Confucius also is said to have influenced the development of Chinese martial arts. Although Confucius did not like the use of martial arts during his time, martial arts means military training or the use of swords and spears. Some Chinese people came up with a compromise of developing forms of martial arts that are open-handed or doesn't use weapons. Thus, the Chinese martial arts that we know today are actually offshoots of Confucian thinking. Okay, and what is important for us to understand right now is that the teachings of Confucianism are the very fabric of social relationships in China. Okay, so China has been known to be very strict in its implementation of its rules about social relationships. So you talk about the subject, okay, should be under the ruler. The son should follow the father, the wife should follow the husband, the younger brother should be submissive to the elder brother, but the friend, okay, is equal to a friend. Okay, Confucius, whom at least Confucians believe as the supreme sage and the founding father of Chinese civilization, okay, and his teachings and philosophies have been infused, particularly in East Asian countries. Okay, say for example, Japan, South Korea, and with those who follow the teachings of Confucius. And that wraps up our discussion on Confucianism. This has been Sir E, now signing off.